Fresh olives.
How much for a basket?
2 coins.
Have you ever gotten exactly what you asked for, only to realize it wasn't what you needed? Throughout history, nations have risen and fallen on the backs of their leaders. We love stories about kings and queens. We love the crowns, the battles, and the glory. But sometimes the crown is too heavy. Sometimes the person on the throne isn't fighting an enemy outside the walls. They are fighting a war inside their own head. Today, we are diving into one of the most tragic and human stories in the Bible. It is the story of Israel's very first king. His name was Saul. If you read the book of Acts 13:21 in the New Testament, it summarizes his life in one sentence. God gave them Saul, the son of Kish. Those 40 years were a roller coaster of high potential and devastating lows. It's a story about insecurity, jealousy, and what happens when we let fear drive the bus instead of faith.
As the smoke rises to the heavens,
Our
so
story
should our...
starts in the book of 1 Samuel. For a long time, Israel didn't have a king. They had judges, and ultimately they had God as their leader. But the people looked around at their neighbors, nations with shiny armies and powerful monarchs, and they got jealous. They went to the prophet Samuel and said,
"Appoint a king to judge us. You are old, and your sons do not follow your ways."
Why then do you reject the Lord?
Samuel warned them. He said, "A human king will take your money, your land, and your sons for war." But they didn't care.
He will take your sons and appoint them for his chariots and to be his horsemen, and he will take the best of your grain.
They wanted an image, and God gave them exactly what they asked for. Enter Saul. If you were casting a movie for a king, you would hire this guy. The Bible describes him as handsome. In fact, it says there wasn't a man in Israel more handsome than him. He was a head taller than everyone else. He looked the part. But on the inside, that was a different story. We first meet Saul not on a battlefield, but on a farm. He's looking for his father's lost donkeys. It's a humble start. He can't find them, and he's about to give up when his servant suggests asking a seer, a prophet, for help. That prophet turns out to be Samuel.
Look, Master. The man of God must be in Ramah. We must go up there now.
Why insist on this, servant? It grows late.
God had already told Samuel, "The man coming toward you, that's the one."
Speak, Lord, for your servant is listening.
The Lord anoints you ruler over his inheritance.
But I am only a Benjaminite, and my family, the least of all the families. Why do you speak to me in this way?
Fast forward to his coronation day. All the tribes gather. Samuel calls Saul's name to present the new king. And Saul is gone. He's nowhere to be found. Is he preparing a speech? Is he praying?
By the command of the Almighty, I present to you Saul, the King of Israel!
No, the Bible says he was hiding among the baggage. This is crucial. At the beginning, Saul was humble.
This
maybe
isn't
even
right.
a little insecure.
What is happening?
Why are they stopping?
I don't know. Look over there.
was hiding in the supply closet. He was terrified of the spotlight. But when he finally stood up, he towered over
Look who we
everyone.
found!
The people shouted, "Long live the king!"
Hiding behind the supplies, were you?
To arms! For Israel! We stand victorious this day. The Lord is with us. Hoorah! Hoorah! Hail the King!
For a while, it worked. Saul led the army to a massive victory against the Ammonites. He showed mercy to people who doubted him. He gave the credit to God. The people loved him. It seemed like the start of a golden age. But success has a way of exposing the cracks in our character. Things started to turn in 1 Samuel 13. Saul had been king for a few years. He was facing a massive army, the Philistines. Their army was like the sand on the seashore, heavily armed. Saul's men, they were terrified. They were hiding in caves and pits.
Don't leave me here!
They flee! My army deserts me! Where is my loyal guard? Stop them!
Hear now what the Lord requires of you. You must obey his commands completely.
Samuel the prophet had given Saul strict instructions. Wait 7 days for me to come and offer the sacrifice to God before you go to battle. Day 5, day 6, day 7. Samuel isn't there yet. Saul looks at his soldiers. They are leaving. He looks at the enemy. They are getting closer. Panic sets in. Saul thinks, I have to take control.
Why do you delay? The time is short. Give me the goat so the ritual can begin.
Instead of waiting, Saul takes the role of the priest. He offers the burnt offering himself. Just as he finishes, guess who walks up the hill? Samuel. Samuel asks, "What have you done?" Saul gives a very human excuse. He says,
Men were deserting. The enemy was approaching. I had no choice. Look around you, can't you see? They are scattering. Everything is lost. I did bring him back, but the men took the sheep and the cattle. They wanted to sacrifice them to the Lord your God.
You must understand. I felt compelled by the pressure I felt.
What else was I to do? I saved the best of the plunder for sacrifice, just as I thought was right. Why have you rejected the word of the Lord?
Sounds reasonable, right? He was trying to help, but the lesson here is deep. God cares more about your trust than your assistance. Saul acted out of fear, not faith. Samuel tells him the heartbreaking news. Because you didn't keep the command of the Lord.
The Lord has given us a great victory! To the victors, the spoils.
Destroy everything!
Then comes the final straw in 1 Samuel 15. God tells Saul to defeat the Amalekites, a corrupt nation that had attacked Israel. The instruction was clear: destroy everything. Do not keep the spoils of war. It was meant to be a judgment, not a looting spree. But Saul wins, and he keeps the best sheep, the best cattle. And he spares the opposing king to show off as a trophy.
Hail, King Saul! Your gods could not save you, Agag. Now all Israel will see my triumph. There you are, Samuel. I was just about to send for you. The Lord has granted us a great victory. These goats, and the best of the flocks, we have reserved them solely for sacrifice to the Lord. We meant only to honor him.
But we saved these animals with good intentions, to offer them as sacrifices to the Lord our God, just as you instructed.
Behold, to obey is better than sacrifice, and to listen than the fat of rams.
When Samuel confronts him, Saul lies. He says, "I did obey. I only kept the sheep to sacrifice them to God."
To obey is better than sacrifice, and to listen than the fat of rams.
Saul wasn't sorry he disobeyed. He was sorry he got caught. He even grabs Samuel's robe as the prophet leaves, tearing it. Samuel says, "Just like you tore this robe, God has torn the kingdom from you today."
Given it to a neighbor, better than you. See this cloth, just as you tore it, so the Lord will tear the kingdom from you.
Neighbor would be a shepherd boy named David.
Man looks at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart.
From this moment on, the story becomes a psychological thriller. The Spirit of God departs from Saul, and he is tormented by his own mental state. To soothe him, his servants hire a musician. Ironically, they hire David, the very boy God has chosen to replace him. Saul loves David at first, but then comes the giant. David kills Goliath. The people go wild. As the army returns home, the women dance and sing a song that will haunt Saul for the rest of his life. They sang, "Saul has slain his thousands, and David his 10,000s.
Hail, King Saul! David has slain the giant. Praise the hero of Israel.
Saul has slain his thousands, and David his 10,000.
Math was never Saul's problem. His problem was insecurity. He thought, they give David 10 times the credit. What's left for him but the kingdom?
Thousands.
Saul starts hunting David, not the Philistines, David. The hero of Israel became the enemy of the king. Saul tries to pin David to the wall with a spear. He chases him through the desert. He murders priests who helped David. He becomes completely unhinged.
Why do you torment me? I see you hiding there. Come out and face me, coward!
But here is the contrast. Twice David had the chance to kill Saul. Once in a cave, and once in a camp at night. David could have ended it, but David refused to harm God's anointed.
There they are, in the shadows. Do you not see them? Charge! Leave none alive!
Saul, on the other hand, was consumed. He spent his energy fighting the wrong battle. He was fighting to keep a crown that God had already taken away. Have you ever held on to something so tight that it started to destroy you? That was Saul. He couldn't let go. We arrive at the end, 1 Samuel 28. The Philistines gather for a massive attack. Saul is terrified. He prays, but God is silent. No dreams, no prophets. Desperate, Saul does the unthinkable. He had previously banned mediums and witchcraft from Israel. But now, in his darkest hour, he disguises himself and goes to a medium. the Witch of Endor. He asks her to summon the spirit of Samuel, who had died.
Do not be afraid. I swear no harm will come to you. Only ask that you consult the dead for me.
Bring up Samuel.
Accept this offering, ancient ones. Rise from the dust and speak to me.
It's a terrifying scene. Samuel appears, but he doesn't bring comfort. He asks,
"Why have you disturbed me?"
Tomorrow, you and your sons will be with me.
The next day, on Mount Gilboa, the battle rages. Israel is crushed. Saul's sons, including his brave son Jonathan, are killed. Wounded by archers and not wanting to be captured and tortured, King Saul falls on his own sword. It is a gruesome, tragic end to a man who started with so much promise. 1 Samuel 31 closes the book on the first king of Israel.
Why does this matter?
Saul wasn't a monster. He was a mirror. He reflects the struggles many of us face. He had the look, he had the talent, he had the calling. But he lacked the internal character to sustain the external pressure.
Wait. Do not abandon your king. The ritual is done. We march now.
He cared more about what people thought of him than what God thought of him. He let his insecurity turn into jealousy and his fear turn into disobedience.
We often assume the past is silent, locked away on these shelves. But the truth is, it's always speaking if we just listen.
The story of Saul teaches us that talent can take you to the top, but only character can keep you there. It teaches us that partial obedience is actually just disobedience. And it reminds us that no matter how far we run, we cannot outrun the will of God. But there is hope. Unlike Saul, who tried to hide his sin and blame others, we have the opportunity to own our mistakes. We can choose to be like David, who, when he messed up, ran to God, not away from him.
I surrender everything to you, Lord. Your mercy is greater than my sin.
Here is my challenge to you today. Is there an area in your life where you are acting like Saul? Are you holding on to control because you don't trust the outcome? Are you worried about who is getting the credit?
With the team and all our hard work, we finally did it.
Take a moment to release that grip. Trust the process. Trust God.
Just listen.
But perhaps I've been too serious. The truth is actually much warmer than that.
Helps us share these stories with more people. If you found this story insightful, or if you learned something new about King Saul today, please hit that like button, and it really helps us share these stories with more people.
And I want to hear from you in the comments. Do you think Saul was a villain, or just a misunderstood tragic figure? Let me know your thoughts down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our next video, where we will look at the man who replaced him, King David.